And they come up alongside, and there's Alberto Contador, who's called for a little bit of pace as well. He wants a decent look at the very least of this final climb. 4 kilometers to go. Now it's 2.7 in length, so we're going to be there in about 1500.
Yeah, well, just less than that now. Is exactly a kilometer to go to the bottom of the climb.
It is indeed. There we are. Pace up, and the break has happened. They're starting to push on for this one, and it's Patilli that tried to do it, couldn't do it. Sits back down, as you saw. And Thibaut Pinot for Francis de Geux. What about Sebastian Reichenbach? Big, strong man. He's part of this driving force for Francis de Geux today. Haven't really thought about Sebastian Reichenbach. I thought it was too punchy for him. He likes a longer climb, but you never know.
You never know, definitely not. But the road is definitely starting to go uphill here now as well, and everyone's still fighting hard for position into the bottom of this climb. The Team Sky is still very much on the front, choosing the wrong side of the road as far as I'm concerned. They should have just drifted across and shut the door on everyone on that one.
Didn't happen. So here we are, the Gera statue. We're on it right now, and well, a big question mark on the approach, or an exclamation mark, I should say, not a question mark. There'll be some questions at the end of this as to who designed it. 200 meters now before the climb starts proper, and the last little bit of respite where the road flattens out, and they're juggling for position, as you can see. It's going to be also important to have a decent position coming into it, and right now it's Orica Greenedge that do the big lead in. Francis de Geux also engaged, and Dan Martin's in the house. Perfect timing. He gets up towards the 4. Great work by Ethics Quickstep. Good piece of delivery.
Yeah, very good effort indeed, and getting onto this very narrow section of road, and this is where it gets steep.
Contador it is that's up towards the 4, as you can see, just rolling with it for the time being. But who is going to reach out? Perito, don't think so, not today. Just having a look a little bit further down at Simon Spilak also involved for Team Katusha, and they're rolling with it. So who is going to have a go? That's Simon Yates, by the way, in P3, I believe. Can't quite see on the flaring of it. He's got the same sort of body form. It is Simon Yates right now. I can confirm with you. There he is, just behind Alberto Contador, in an absolutely brilliant position. Bilbao for Cairo Rural is also in the house, and Dan Martin's just starting to roll up. There you can see his hunched shoulders, right hand side of your screen, so left hand side of the road. 19%. I told you it was nudging 20 on occasion. They've carried a decent amount of speed into it. It's only a short run in, as you can see, with 2.3 remaining, and some surely are going to be tempted to have a go, and Contador's riding a lot more confidently than we thought perhaps he would.
Well, I certainly thought he was going to be up here and giving this one a go.
Think so, having a little push now on the 20% margin. Latour just engaging it. He had a good Criterium International, and it's not beyond the writ of man that Latour could provide a surprise today. He's being marked, but it's hard to stay with him. A man on form.
Yeah, certainly man on form, going really well here. Team Sky looking like they're covering everything as well, though, and Contador very much up there, just reacting to everything.
Staying with it, likewise is Simon Yates of Orica Greenedge, and still nobody decides to try and go for this sprint. But will it be Contador after we've posed so many questions about him with 2 kilometers to go? It's between Sky and AG2 on the Mondial for the time being, and Contador's just caught on the corner. Is that a little bit of kidology? Will he suddenly burst through it? We've seen that before. The steepest margins are now.
Well, it's certainly the steepest part of the climb here, and I think that looks like it was Mikael Landa just going for Team Sky and just going a bit too hard.
Here we go then. It's now it's a time to just engage if you possibly can. And Team Lotto, they've got Kelderman, they've got Jessink. Wow. They've got some ambitions as well, which is showing right now with 1.8 to go, and Contador is struggling just a little bit, or at least he doesn't want to go for it just yet. Still Latour remains engaged out front, as you can see. It's a wrestle, and they've got a gap just for now, and Contador is not minded to close it, not yet anyway.
No, he's certainly not going for that one, but very good move, very good strong attack as well. And the problem is when he's so steep, though, if you go too early, too hard, and you put yourself on in the red zone, then it's over very quickly indeed.
Yeah, there can be no way back. You see the Portuguese champion is there, Rui Costa as well. Pino's also in the house here. Didn't see Dan Martin for a little while, I'm afraid, so it looks like perhaps not going to be his kind of day. And coming through here, Dimension Data, Anton said he was up for this at the top of the day. 1,600 meters to go. It's not all over by a long chalk, and in fact the worst part is supposed to be now. Contador actually out of the saddle, sits back down and looks a little bit breathy, but he's in very good company. It's a big ask so early on in the season, this one. And I guess well, there we are, and it is indeed Kelderman that's out front at the moment, setting the pace and doing a great job. Yates just couldn't stay with this. The road very, very narrow, as you can see. And Michael Landa in a place, well, many said he hadn't actually prepped or wasn't in great form, but he's showing that he is right here and right now, as you said, Magnus.
Yeah, definitely. He's looking like he's in control of this climb. Oh, the Kelderman's going very strong indeed up here. One of the more difficult parts of the climb is this here now, from up until about a kilometer to go, at which point it starts leveling out a bit again.
Well, it eases, but hardly anything, and it's a cruel one. Landa, of course, he's riding at home here. A couple of stages of the Giro last year and a stage in the Vuelta, we remind you. And that is Latour, who's been on such great form, just going backwards and about to be taken by the chasers. Is that Reichenbach just there for Francis de Geux? If that's him, that bodes well. And look at this. Lots of riders suddenly finding their legs again, but is it all too late, Magnus? They've got a 12-second margin, 13 now, with 1,200 meters remaining.
Yeah, and this I think it is a bit too late. The whole bunch is just split to bits and pieces here. Looks like Contador is going backwards in this as well. Yeah,
he looked like he was suffering just on that last couple of curves. There's the leader, Luis Leon Sanchez, after yesterday, and you can see Pierre Roland. I think his team did a lot of approach work. That's Contador just struggling a little bit as well as we pan further up this group. And in fact, no, there's Contador. I beg your pardon.
In there.
Yes, it was Roman Kreuziger a little bit further back down. 1.1 kilometers, 1,100 meters only, in a 15-second gap. I think this may well prove to be decisive. It's uphill all the way to the line, Magnus.
Well, it certainly is. It does level out a little bit around the kilometer to go mark as well. Goes down to about 9%, so which is actually going to feel quite nice for these riders after having battled with the 19 and 20% that they've had over the last 500 meters or so.
He just rounds his man. He comes round Wilco Kelderman with the sound of the crowd ringing in his ears. I imagine he's going to hear bells a little bit later on. 10 seconds is what this pairing have got, and Wilco Kelderman, he's got quite a punch on him towards the end. If it does flatten out a little bit, I'm going for it. Goes Rui Costa, the Portuguese champion, just decides to step out of the saddle. As you can see, 1k to go. It's going to be a good finish for him. Who's going to get close and limit the damage? Alberto Contador, of course. There he is, comes up on to the back wheel. This is about damage limitation because of Michael Landa, who clearly has arrived on much better form than many of you thought. There were some questions from you on Twitter earlier on today as to how much he'd got to invest. 800 meters is what he's got to deal with right now, and he's also got to deal with Kelderman, who's now in his wheel. But is he starting to struggle? There's a gap opening up between them as Landa tries to just put some space there, and Kelderman's equal to it, comes up and reminds him that he's still there. This battle not over by any means, with just 700 meters to go. 8 seconds is their margin. They may even still get caught. 7 seconds suggested to us here as we're still on 12%.
Well, so much can happen in the last 600 meters on the climb as steep as this one, and certainly when it has been as steep for as long a time as this has. And now the guys down the back here in the bunch, the favorites, well, we should probably call the two guys up front favourites as well, but it's certainly a bit of movement happening in this bunch here.
Yeah, I think it was Rodriguez that just got to the front of the chase, but as you can see, it does ease here now. As Kelderman got stealing in his mind, why not? He'll be thinking about the overall as well. He's probably the better choice than Guessing, certainly has been today. So Kelderman just stalking his man. It's Michael Lander. It's going to be a sprint between these two. The gap is now too big, 15, 16 seconds. It's getting more as they start to think about the sprint. Crowd getting involved here, security trying to clear the way. 300 metres remaining. They're still climbing.
They're still climbing, and Landa still working hard. Kelderman, though, is he going to go for this one for an early one? Timing is going to be everything in this kind of a sprint. Especially
as Kelderman offers up a big windbreak, I guess you might say, for Lander if he can stay with him if the attack does come. Surely it's going to have to happen between the pair of them. It's a question of when. The road eases. They look at each other. They know that they've got it between them. It's Perito that picks it up. Oh, and there's all hell breaking up, and Sammy Sanchez goes for it as well. Sammy Sanchez are being chased down by Henao. Who else from Team Sky? It's a big battle between those two. They can't afford to keep looking at each other. Time's running out. They're still not at the hoardings or the markers. And just look what's going on behind. They're not aware of it just yet because of the noise. They're at the hoardings right now, 150 metres, and still picking it up and going for it. It's Henao. Henao's chasing down. It's going to be 1 and 3 for Sky, I think. Lander goes for it now. Lander releases himself, and Kelderman can't stay with him. Comes around the outside, does he? We're waiting for them with his camera. He knows he's done it. I think it's going to be Sky 1 and 3, maybe 1 and 2. Look at that. Oh, Lander takes it, lands the victory. Kelderman then, and this will be an hour across the line as we look further down the line. Sammy Sanchez it is that makes it. Alberto Contador will take that, quite frankly, and just sailing over now. Either Pinot or Reichenbach, not quite sure, but the pair of them are certainly engaged in the top of it. What a day we have had. The first real test on the Basque Country, and drama at the finale.
Yeah, what an interesting climb that was, and not at all the kind of outcome that I was expecting. I was expecting to see neither Quintana and Contador play much more of a role in this one than they actually were certainly for a longer period of time of that climb. But wow, what a ride by Mikel Landa, who's back in good form.
Indeed, there is the leader. Will hand over his jersey. He's no longer the leader. Luis Leon Sanchez just coming here with Darwin Atapuma, who probably would have preferred a longer and more steady, difficult climb, but nonetheless, you can't ask for everything throughout a stage race, and today plenty got bitten. Dan Martin was one of those, I'm afraid. It looked like he'd been delivered to perfection, but just wasn't to be for Dan today. But he's had so many stellar victories so far this season. No surprise that he's going to miss out on a couple at least. Lander, though, did not, and he landed it.
Well, he did, yeah. Well, it was a good timing, and just waited for long enough to open up his sprint, and I don't think Wilco Kelderman had an awful lot to respond with once Landa went. But what a way to get back into racing, eh?
Well, Sky set the limit. Landa doing a great job, superb teamwork as well today, and in fact coming home 1 and 3. You couldn't really ask for much more than that, say for 1 and 2, obviously. Landa takes it 1 second clear of Wilco Kelderman. Sergio Luis Henao finishing in 3rd place today ahead of Sammy Sanchez and Alberto Contador. That will be how it looks at the top of the leaderboard today. Plenty of gaps.
Yeah, definitely a couple of gaps opening up, although not massive gaps yet, and we got to think that this whole stage race finishes off with a time trial as well, so there's equations that are going to need to be made for that.
56 Tour of the Basque Country. Pinot in 6th place, by the way. Reichenbach 10th. What a boy. He can time trial as well, as we know. So can Pinot. Francis Dejeur really have turned things around. Quintana finishing in 8th place behind Rui Costa, as you can see. Perito managed 11th today. And well, credit to everybody who finished strongly on what was a really